What is up everyone? I hope you're doing well. My name is Matt, this is Made with Matt, and in today's video we'll be building out this design on Figma to later implement it as an app using React Native. So it's a pretty simple app. It's a crypto price tracker. You could click on a coin and you'll have a bottom sheet pop up from the bottom, and then you can click it away. So this is pretty similar to Coinbase, how they have their markets page or their prices page, which has all their coins plus their current price and some recent changes. So yeah, if you're new to the channel, welcome. Definitely hit that subscribe button. On this channel, we do a lot of UI, UX in Figma, and then we turn it into code using React Native. So let's jump into it. So in front of me, I've got a blank Figma file opened up here. So let's go ahead and change the title to Crypto Price Tracker. And let's also rename this first page to assets. So what we're going to be putting into this page are all the pictures of the coins. So you could find the link to the finished Figma file in the description below. And if you go into the assets page, you'll see all of them there. So you could just copy and paste them into your file. So I'll do that right now. Once you've got that done, the next thing we'll want to do is add the colors that we'll be using for this design. So once again, you'll find that in the assets folder, the assets page, and you could just copy and paste them in. Let's go ahead and make all these colors some styles so that it's much easier to assign them to our text and our other components later on. So click the first one, the gray one here, and click the 4 little circles that are set up in a square. You'll see style. Click that, then click the plus to create a style, and we'll call this one gray. And then we just say create style. Now you'll see that it changes from the hex value to gray. Now we'll repeat that for the rest of them. So this one we'll call black. This one will be green. And the last one will be red. And as we move forward with this video, you'll see how this helps you out. Now let's jump into a new page by clicking the plus button up here. And we'll call this one designs. Now we can go ahead and create our first frame. So you could do that either by going up here and clicking frame or by clicking the F key. And we'll select an iPhone 11 Pro. So there we go. Now I'm going to paste in our template right next to it. And I've copied it as a PNG. Just so we have something to compare to as we start designing, so we know our direction. So let's get started with this title up here. So we'll go ahead and select the T tool or click T. And now we'll type it out. So markets, we could set this to bold, so regular bold. And let's give it a size of 24. We'll keep the fill to black. And now what we'll do is we'll make it 16 pixels from the left to make it nicely aligned. So to check pixels, I'm holding down the Option key. I'm on Mac. And then we see that if we hover our mouse over the edges, we can see the amount of pixels. So I'm just going to hold down Option while clicking the arrow key to move it to the left until it's at 16. And we'll set it to 80 from the top. Cool. So that looks good, and that's a great start. Now we'll want to create this little divider here. So there's 2 ways of doing this. You could either use a rectangle or an actual line. So we'll go ahead with a line. So you could find that in here where there's a bunch of other shapes. We'll click this one over here for the line, click and drag. And one thing to make sure of here is that our angle is set to 0 because we don't want this to be on a slant. So let's go ahead and make this a bit bigger. 0. Okay, cool. Now let's line it up 16 from the left and it's 15 on the right. So let's just reduce it by 1 pixel. Now we could double check. And once again, this is the Option key that I'm holding down. And now we can see that it looks great. It's the perfect width. So now let's make it the right distance from this markets title. So let's just move it down a bit. I think it would look good at maybe 24 from markets. So let's just try that out. Maybe it's a bit too big, so let's set it to 16, same as our width here. That looks a lot better. So now let's set this color to the gray that we want over here. And because we've set up our colors from earlier, we'll see that they show up over here. So we could just go ahead and click gray. And there you go. Let's move into building out a component. So we'll build this out as a component, which is a list item. So let's get started with that. Maybe I can move this over here and we could get it started right here. So the first thing we'll need is a picture. So let's jump into our assets, pick up any of these. I'll get started with the Ethereum one, jump back to designs, paste it in. Let's set it to a width and height of 48. And just notice how I have this checked, constrain proportions. And what that's going to do is if I change the width, it's going to update the height accordingly and keep it to scale. And same thing, vice versa. If you change the height, it's going to keep the width to scale. So let me hit enter there. Awesome. And now we could get started with our text. So the first one, so I'll hit T on my keyboard, or you could also hit the text tool above. Let's call this one Ethereum. And let's set this to a size of 18 and remove the bolding. Now I'm holding down the Option key again, and I'm going to line it up to 16 from the left. And just looking at it, I think 8 might actually be better. Let's try it out. Keeps it a bit tighter. We could try it out like that, and then worst case afterwards we'll change it. So we'll put it like that. Now I'll hit T again to create a new text item. And in here we'll put the abbreviation, so ETH. Let's set this one as a fill gray. And once again, that's how our color styles come in handy. And let's actually change the fill of this one to our black color style. Now let's also go ahead and change this text size to 14. That looks good. And let's just make sure that they're aligned together on the left. They do seem to be aligned. So we can grab both of them. So I clicked one and then held down Shift, click the other one, and just make sure that it's properly aligned with the image and it's still 8 pixels away. Once again, to get this to show up, holding down the Option key. Cool, that looks good. Maybe we could add a bit of spacing between these two. So let's just take the lower one, hold down the Option key, and let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Already looks better. Let's center that again with the image and keep it at 8 from the left. Great. So now let's move on to this section. So it's going to be really similar. So I'm going to copy paste the title and subtitle over here and just move it to the right and make sure that they're aligned. Awesome. And let's go ahead, $2804.30, and down here minus 1.09%. Percent. Now we can line them up either by clicking and dragging them, or an even easier way is click one of them, hold down Shift, click the other, and then go up here and click Align Right. And doing that will align them perfectly to the right. So let's just move this over a bit more. And this one we could leave as the same black color. This one we're going to change it to red. So click gray over here, click red. There we go. Awesome. So that looks great. Let's move it onto the actual phone, just so that we make sure that our sizing is right. So already we could see that Figma helps us out. It kind of locks it in at 16 pixels from this divider, which works great because then it's the same proportion as this title to this divider. And let's just make sure it's also 16 from the left. Awesome. Now over here, let's line it up with the end of this divider, which is going to be 16. And there we go. We just make sure that all of this is aligned. Now it is. And boom, we've created our first list item. So we could go ahead and grab all of this, right click it, and go to create component. So what this is going to do, so let's pull it off over here. What this is going to do is now this is a component. So I could copy it, paste it in here, and now what's awesome is I just need to place it, and I could just paste it a bunch of times. And sorry, let me just place them all. Cool. Now, if I were to go in here and want to change something, so let's play around with it. So let's click this text, or these two, and let's say we wanted to make it 16 from the image. We could move it over, and you'll see that it updates accordingly in all of the components. So it kind of broadcasts all of the changes, which comes in very handy and speeds up the workflow. Awesome, so let's just compare again to our template. Looks like there's a bit of extra spacing over here and down here. So instead of 16 from the top, let's set that to 24. So I'll just delete these for now. Hold down the Option key and move it down until it's at 24. Awesome. And now we'll use that same spacing all throughout to make our list item. Or sorry, our list. So let's add one more over here. Awesome. So now what I want to do is update all the pictures and all the text to make it look like this one on the left. So let's go to our assets, select all the pictures and click Export 6 layers. Once you have them downloaded, jump back to your designs and go ahead and select all the images. So to do that, hold down Command or Control if you're on PC and click the image. You'll see that it focuses down just on the image and not the entire component. Now hold down Command and Shift and click all the other images. And now a cool keyboard shortcut is Command Shift K. So that's Command Shift K. Once you've done that, it opens up your file explorer where you could go select all the images you just downloaded. Click open, and now we have this tool where we could just kind of drop the images in. So it says 6 images, so let's start dropping them in, and you're just dropping them in by clicking. And there we go. Just like that, we've added in images really easily. Now we can see there's a little bug on this one, so we'll go ahead and fix that up. Seems like it's because we have double, and we'll just position it back in. Perfect. Now I'm just going to go in and change up some of the text here real quick. And once we've done that, we'll start creating the bottom sheet. So as we start doing this, you'll probably notice something. So if we go to Bitcoin, let's say, and set it to 34,678.31 or 32. You'll see that it goes overboard here. And what we could do is just jump back to the component and control click into the text that we want to edit. And now we could drag this out all the way till around halfway just to give it enough space for all the cases. Change or make sure that this is auto height instead of auto width. So make sure it's like that and that it spans all the way. Then click these 3 little dots, and in here we'll go ahead and align it right. Now we'll see that whatever the size might be, it's going to place it properly. And we could do something similar for this one over here. So make sure it's auto height, click in here and adjust it right. And I guess you could also click it over here instead. Okay, awesome. Once that's done, we could go ahead, select all of them, Command C, Command V, so copy paste them right under, make sure it's still the right spacing. Now we could click our frame, click prototype up here, and overflow scrolling, we'll set it to vertical scrolling. That way, now if we go ahead and click play on that frame, it's gonna load, and now we could scroll and we see that everything loads properly, and we have 2 of every coin. Cool. So now let's move to the right over here and let's create the bottom sheet. So let's go ahead and click F. So F is to create a frame, and let's just estimate its height and width right now. So something like that. Drag it onto the other frame just to get the sizing right. So we want to make sure that it fits into the actual phone. So there we go. I think this works. So that's going to be a width of 375 and a height of 275. Now we'll go ahead and round the top corners. So if we were to round it up here, we'll see that it rounds all of them. So a neat little trick is you click this square independent corners over here and you do the first two, which is the top two, and then 0 and 0. Awesome. Now for this one, I just want to get our template so that we can base ourselves off what we need to accomplish. So for this frame, first thing we can notice is some drop shadow. So click the frame, go to effects, automatically it sets drop shadow, click the effect settings. Let's drag this back to a -4. Up here, a blur of, let's say 10. And instead of 25, let's set it to 15. So yeah, that already looks pretty good. So now we could go ahead and get started with the titles section up here. So I'm just gonna go copy the Bitcoin image, paste it in. And for this one, let's set it to 18. There we go. And let's make this one a bit smaller, just so it's proportional. Actually, let's set this one to 24. It looks a bit better. And now let's hold down the Option key to make it 16 from the left, 16 from the top. And let's add some text in. So I'm hitting T on my keyboard, and we'll type in Bitcoin, and in brackets BTC. Drop that in here. Let's change it. Actually, we could leave it at 14. Instead of a black fill, let's go and add our gray. And now let's make it 8 pixels from the image. Looks good. Now let's also grab this. We could copy and paste it and drag it to the right side. Now let's make it once again 16 from the right. And here we'll see from the top it's not going to be 16 because we're aligning it with this text, which is center aligned with this image, which is actually 16. So that's all right. And let's change this to 7D for 7 days, since this is going to be a 7-day chart. Looks good. Let's create this title. So hitting T again on my keyboard. $, and let's just make sure we have this one here. Perfect. Let's line this up with the image at 8 pixels. And let's change this to bold. Awesome. And now we could go grab this component here and paste it in. And let's just line it up. So I could change this to just take up its width. We'll want it 16 from the right. And we'll also want it aligned with the item over here. Awesome. So let's just compare the sizes here. So let's play around with the sizes to make it look a bit more similar. So these we could leave as 14. Maybe this one we could up it to 18. And this one we could up it to 24. Let's go realign it. So 16 from the left, and we want 8 from the top. Realign this one to be center aligned with that text, and 16 from the left. Already looking a bit better. Cool. And then the last thing, let's just grab these two. And instead of 8, let's actually make it 4 from the top so it's a bit tighter, a bit neater. And there we have it. So now all we have left is this chart over here. So to build out charts in Figma, it's actually really, really easy. All you need is a plugin. So you could go ahead and look up chart plugin Figma. And the first result should work. That's this plugin over here, simply called Chart. I already installed it before this video. But once you have it installed, all you have to do is right click, go down to plugins, chart, create chart. And we could go ahead and just click create chart right away. But before doing that, let's jump into the settings. And a couple things you'll want to double check. First off, we want without labels. So no labels on our chart. If you click grid, we don't want a grid. So click without grid. And in the settings under dots, we'll make sure that it's without dots. So save and close, create chart, and there we go. Got a chart made for us instantly. So let's change the color, change the color to our black. And let's shrink it down a little bit so that it could fit in here. Line it up on the left, extend it to go all the way to the right. I'm actually just going to extend it a bit more than the frame, just so that it looks like a continuous line instead of this kind of cut at the beginning and end. Cool. So I've deleted all our templates, so now all we're left with is our list component. So we can name it to that, list item, our markets page, and our bottom sheet. And to rename it, all I'm doing is double clicking the title here, and then it opens up the edit text. So now let's add some animations so that this can animate in from the bottom as a bottom sheet would. So click prototype and go ahead and click, let's go with this item over here. So we'll drag it to the right. So on tap, we want to open an overlay, and yeah, just make sure it's bottom sheet. We'll want it to stick to the bottom, so bottom center. We'll want it to animate in, so move in and from the bottom to the top like that. And we'll also want to close it when we click outside of it. So let's try it out. So we've got our list over here. Now if I click this one, boom, there we go. Comes in from the bottom, click it again, and it goes away. Awesome. If you enjoyed this video, please click that like button and subscribe down below to stay tuned for more videos like this. So in the coming videos, we'll be building this entire app using React Native using an API. So definitely stay tuned for that.